After years of waiting and the last entry that left a bitter taste, Mafia of Your Country has finally arrived. As reviews pour in and players share their verdicts, one question lingers in the shadow. Is this the final chapter for the Mafia series? In the late 1990s, 5 developers in Czech Republic shared a bold dream to create a story-driven game that would rival Hollywood crime dramas and most probably be a major competitor to the GTA franchise. The team wanted the focus to be more on the character development, the drama, and the cinematic narrative. This small team, called Illusion Softworks at the time, began work on a project that would eventually become the first Mafia game. To tell a full-blown gangster story, one that would make you feel like you'd just stepped out of a 1930s mob movie, they needed more horsepower. At first, the engine they used wasn't powerful enough. It was like trying to run a crime empire out of your mom's basement. So, they built their own engine, the LC3D engine. Yeah, this move delayed the game though, but hey, so does every good Mafia plan, right? Some features had to be whacked along the way, multiplayer gone, extra modes sleeping with the fishes, but this was all in the service of one thing, making the single player story shine. By 2002, the studio had grown to be about 40 people, from a tiny crew of 5 to a full outfit. Still not quite a Mafia family though, but definitely enough for the third war in the gaming industry, and their creation, Mafia, the City of Lost Heaven, which was a hit. It wasn't just another open world game, no, it was a cinematic linear crime drama where people were getting excited about the future of getting pulled over when speeding. Take that GTA. So, fast forward to 2010, 8 years after Mafia, the City of Lost Heaven first made players feel guilty about speeding in a video game, Mafia 2 finally rolled onto the scene. But its journey to release, let's just say it was a less smooth getaway and more like a car stuck in traffic. According to Collar, the script began back in 2003, with pre-production starting in 2004. The original plan, a PS2 and Xbox release using a licensed engine for quick development. Sounds easy, right? Well, until the engine's developer went out of business. That's like your gun supplier suddenly deciding he's into yoga now. So, in 2005 the team had to shift to the brand new PS3 and Xbox 360. Oh, and since their backup plan had gone belly up, they now had to build their own proprietary engine. From scratch. Imagine you need to cook dinner fast only to realize you need to invent the stove first. The result, the team didn't even have what Collar jokingly called a playable something until 2007. Polygon's Emily Guerra later reported that playtesting often happened on paper, which basically meant a bunch of developers sitting in a room pretending to drive imaginary cars and shouting bang bang like kids in the schoolyard. And yet, against all odds, Mafia 2 made it to launch. Sales were strong, reviews were solid, and fans were happy to dive back into the world of organized crime without having to use their imagination this time. In comparison to Mafia 1, the sequel didn't quite have the same groundbreaking punch. The first game was a revelation, cinematic storytelling in an open world package, something people hadn't really seen before. Mafia 2, meanwhile, was more of an evolution. Prettier graphics, bigger scope, higher production values, but also a few scars from its bumpy development ride. Still, it proved the series wasn't just a one-hit wonder. Mafia 1 may have been the surprise debut, but Mafia 2 showed there was plenty of life left in the family. Fast forward to 2016, Mafia 3 rolled into town promising a gritty tale of revenge. Expectations were high, but what followed wasn't exactly organized. Think less Godfather and more family barbecue where half the guests live early. The game underperformed both critically and commercially, and by 2017-2018 the fallout began. Layoffs hit, morally dipped, and key talent walked out the door. Many of the remaining developers were shuffled onto other Take-Two projects, like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and Midnight Suns. Imagine signing up to make mob dramas and ending up animating talking guns and superheroes. I am also a game developer and I know for sure I wouldn't be excited. Things only got shakier. The studio sunk about $50 million into a secret live service project called Vault, only to cancel it in late 2021. That cancellation blindsided staff and sent morale into freefall. Picture betting everything on a hand of poker and then realizing you've been playing Uno. By May 2022, the Novato office saw nearly 50 layoffs out of about 87 staff. Over in Brighton, new leadership arrived under Nick Baines, who promised no further cuts, but the damage was already done. It's hard to rebuild trust when half the crews already jumped ship. Even during Mafia 3's development, cracks were showing, designers and management clashed, momentum stalled, and big decisions were constantly reversed. One developer summed it up perfectly. That's 6 months of work going down a certain direction and then reversing out. Translation: a lot of people basically spent half a year building sandcastles only to watch the tide come in. So while Mafia 3 had ambition, strong storytelling beats and a bold new setting, its troubled development and messy aftermath left scars, compared to the steady legacy of Mafia 1 and Mafia 2. This chapter in the family saga felt more like a botched job than a clean hit. Going to the 2020s, the age of remakes and remasters, naturally the Mafia series wanted a seat at the table. Fans were treated to Mafia 2 Definitive Edition in 2020, followed by the full-blown Mafia Definitive Edition later that same year. Mafia 2 Definitive Edition was more of a touch-up than a reinvention, updated textures, higher resolution, and all the DLC bundled in. It looked better, sure, but it also shipped with bugs that made players wonder if the mob had hired Gremlins to do quality assurance. Still, for many it was a welcome chance to replay Vito's story with a fresh coat of digital paint. Then came Mafia Definitive Edition, and this one was the real deal. Built from the ground up in a modern engine, it reimagined the 2002 classic with the new visuals, expanded cutscenes, and even re-recorded dialogue. Tommy Angelo's story suddenly looked like a big-budget Netflix gangster series minus the binge watch. It wasn't perfect, but the fans praised the faithfulness and care put into it. Together, these remakes gave the series a second life. One was a little rough around the edges, like a mobster in a wrinkled suit. The other was a polished cinematic retelling that reminded everyone why the original Mafia had become a classic in the first place. In the end, the definitive editions weren't just remakes, they were proof that even decades later, the family still had some style in it. Fast forward to 2025 and the Mafia series added a new chapter with the Mafia of your country. The game is performing solidly, both critically and commercially, showing that the franchise still has a dedicated fan base, hungry for crime stories, period-accurate cities, and cinematic storytelling. Reviews highlighted the engaging narrative and detailed environments, although some pointed out minor issues in pacing and mechanics. Sales were strong enough to prove that, even after decades, players are still willing to follow the mob. Looking ahead, the future of the Mafia franchise feels full of potential. The series has shown it can reinvent itself visually and narratively, and there's a real opportunity to expand on its legacy. Personally, I think it would really help if future entries in the series would be connected as a trilogy. This could give the series more cohesion, making each release feel like part of a larger scale saga and rewarding long-time fans in a way that standalone games can't. If executed well, a connected trilogy could elevate the Mafia series from a collection of great individual games to a cohesive, unforgettable crime epic spanning multiple eras. Myself, I'm not sure what the future holds us for the Mafia franchise, if there will be another Mafia game, if there will be more Mafia games, I am really not sure. I think there are some big chances that we might never get to see another Mafia game, but there are also chances that we might get to see more Mafia games in the series, and the series might not be dead. Do you think we'll get another Mafia game? Do you think the franchise is dead? What changes would you like to see in the Mafia series, and what was your favorite game so far? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you liked this type of content. I am Scarlet, peace and love, and see you next time.